Gary Washburn of the Boston Globe joins us now. We heard Hurricanes. How you doing, Gary?
Mike, how you doing? Good to be here.
Have what those guys faced above and beyond, in your opinion?
I think the criticism of Tatum has been a little over the top. Whether he smiled, largely enough when Jalen won the MVP.
He only showed me his upper teeth, not his lower. It was a half smile.
Yeah, he didn't show all 32. That was a little much. I just think people are I think they're just tired of the Celtics. And what I mean by that is tired of them knocking on the door, never getting through, tired of every year they're a competitor. And then, you've seen Milwaukee fall. Remember, it was Toronto. Then they're a one-year wonder. Philadelphia's never made it. So it's like, okay, when are these guys ever going to win? So I think it's a Celtics fatigue, and Jason is like the whipping boy with that.
Okay, so both talked about it yesterday. I'm talking about Tatum and Brown, about how they respond to that. And Brown gave an analogy about the kid that wants to burn the village down because he's not feeling the warmth. And
yeah, arson.
Okay, right? And Tatum says, it is what it is. I'm more worried about my family. I just changed the channel. It's all good. And I sort of look at it and go, does Tatum's lack of passion about that concern you?
I think it's a front. I think he is passionate about it, but he doesn't want to let on that he is, and it really bothers him. He cares very much about his legacy. He wants to be one of the all-time greats. He understands. The great thing about with us, the media, he understands we have a job, right? It doesn't embitter him to the point of I'm not talking to you guys, get away from me. It doesn't mess with his attitude, but I do think he pays very much attention to what everyone says about him. And I think he has a support system that tells him or texts him and says, do you see what they said about you here? Or you're not doing good enough here? And I think he puts pressure on himself to be that guy, but he doesn't need to be. And I think he's finally understanding that he doesn't need to be Kobe, a one-man team. He doesn't need to be Kobe Jr. He just needs to be a very, very good player on all sides of the ball, defense, rebounding, and the other guys will help pick up the slack. This is the deepest team they've had.
So you think that that's enough for them to win?
I think it's enough for them to win, yes, but they're a top-heavy team. I don't know about Pritchard. I don't know about Hauser. I don't know if hopefully it won't go down to Cornette's minutes. They are not a deep team where they got a bunch of guys who can come out there 9 and 10 and just perform. But their 6, 7 are good enough with Porzingis and Horford and Holiday and White. Yeah, they have a legit great team, but they're playing two great players and a bunch of other guys who have fit into their roles so well that they're a completely different team than the one that came here in March.
So Gary, you just described a personality for Tatum that on the inside he cares more, is more passionate than people would let on. So are he and Brown more alike than people think, or less alike?
I think they're alike. I think their dynamic is they're very cool. They're good. They're just different. Tatum's a dad. His family's around. Jalen's trying to go to Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. He's trying to see the world and learn languages. They're just different people. But I think they have a deep admiration for each other, and the key is they know how important each other is to their success. And I think that's important. They don't have to be best friends. McHale and Bird weren't best friends. They weren't. But they need to be best teammates, and I think they are. I think they're happy for each other. I mean, Jalen got $304 million, and Jason's about to get $338. How are you going to be unhappy? What's going on here?
So, my concern would be Tatum's edge, and for lack of a better, term, like what we saw Doncic do in Game 5 in Minnesota, where he's mother bleeping everyone around the crowd. Yeah. He's chirping. He goes in there, takes, grabs it by the throat and takes on everyone around the court. And Anthony Edwards obviously gets talked up in that regard. Tatum carries himself differently. Does that concern you?
It doesn't bother me. Do you wish he was more fiery? Do you wish he would defend himself more? Do you wish he would get into some kind of altercation with another? Like when Caleb Martin knocked him down, do you wish he would have went up and said, dude, that ain't happening again? Yeah, I do wish he would do that. But I just think he's got a way about him that's just I'm above that. I'm not a talker. And he said, I'm not Kevin Garnett. I'm not going to come in here and MF everybody and pump everybody up and put you down to bring you up. My job is to play ball, is to be encouraging and to be myself. And you got to admire him for not trying to be someone that he's not. If he knows he's not that guy, the last thing you want, any sport, is a guy who's trying to fake it, who's trying to fake leader, fake, being the guy, the guy who's trying to get galvanized, and half the guys are like, dude, who are you? Like, you don't want that. You want Jason to be himself.
Fair enough. Porzingis, I'm sure you saw his press conference yesterday. Seemed to me, watching it, he expressed a lot of doubt in his readiness. He did not feel confident to me. Did not feel like he was willing to say that he's ready and it's guns blazing. He, pretty clear. He said he's not 100% or wouldn't answer the question that he was straight up. Do you think he was putting us on, or do you think that he's not quite ready to go?
I think he has some doubts about his conditioning simply because it's going to be such a high-level game. But I would not put it past Kristaps to kind of fool with us.
Really?
He's that kind of guy. And I'm not saying lie, but I'm just saying, why should I tell you I'm 100% and get the Mavericks ready for me 100%? Why should I'm going to leave it out there for you to judge, and you'll see in game one. But there's no doubt he's playing. Now, will he play 30 minutes? Probably not. I would say 15 to 20. We bring him back slowly. Yeah, I just think it's game one, and Mazz, basketball shape is you can run as much 5-on-5 in these little practices in Brighton as you want. That ain't basketball shape. So you don't want him. You don't want him anything happening. You want to bring him along slowly, and then 2 days off, and then game two you ramp up his minutes. So by the middle of the series, I think he's fully ready to go. That's what I think. Could Joe, who's goes against the grain at times, as we know, play him 35? Yeah, he could.
Do they need him, Gary?
I think they need him to unlock the offense. I think their offense has been accused of being a little ISO heavy in the Indiana series, and Tatum dribble. That won't happen with Porzingis on the floor. He brings too much attention. He'll bring their bigs away from the basket, and his three-point shot's too much of a threat. You just can't. If you let him go, he'll be popping shots. So you can't let him just shoot threes. It's like Luka. Luka's not a great three-point shooter, but if you leave him open, he'll kill you. So I think they feel the same way about Porzingis. He does so much, not only offensively but defensively for this team that we haven't seen in a while. So I think we're kind of used to this Celtic brand that beat Indiana, that beat Cleveland.
2 years ago, Andrew Wiggins locks up Tatum, and everyone's like, where the hell did that come from? Who on Dallas, if they're to win this thing, is the guy that we're looking at, their role player that's like...
It would have to be P.J. Washington, but I think we've seen a lot of P.J., and obviously it's Charlotte, so no one really cares. He has not defended Tatum well over the years. That's not a great matchup for Dallas. They don't have anybody to guard Tatum. P.J. could, and he'll step up, and I'm sure he'll read the scouting report and try to, force him left and do all what it says, but Derrick Jones Jr. a little too small, so they don't have that plus defender. Maxi Kleber, they don't have that guy that's the Wiggins played out of his head. Wiggins, he's a number one overall pick. He played like that, unfortunately for the Celtics, in that damn final series. That's when he decided to play ball. But I think Dallas is going to have trouble defending the Celtics. So they're going to have trouble stopping the three. And then if White or Holiday become an X factor and hit 4 or 5 threes, that just opens everything up even more.
So just the way you're describing it, this thing sets up for Tatum.
Yes. And Brown.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is a Tatum-Brown series.
So they based on what you're saying, they should dominate this series.
They should, but then is Luka and Kyrie going to match that? Then is it down to the other guys? Or are you going to let Luka go for 38, 18 assists, 10 rebounds, and 15 free throw attempts? Dallas has not scored 150 points in the playoff team. They win 110-105 with Luka kind of taking most of that and Kyrie. Can the Celtics score more? Because they're going to get scored on. That's the reality. But if you look at the two matchups this year, the key for the Celtics is making Luka work on defense. Making him, get him frustrated. As we know, he likes to talk to officials, bump him a little bit, be physical with him, and make him frustrated early. So go at him defensively so he plays both sides of the ball. If you give him a chance to rest on defense, it's trouble.
Gary Washburn, Boston Globe, joining us here. What's the role of coaching in this series? Who gets the check mark, and what are you looking for those two guys?
Felger, I say it's even. Kidd has not had the best reputation of being a great in-game coach, but I think he's vastly improved. I just remember after the March 1st game, and they lost by 28 points, and Kidd said after the game, the Celtics with their butts they play as a team. They play unselfishly. And everybody thought, ooh, that's a shot at Luka. He hates Luka. Luka hates him. And they were literally people calling for his job after that loss. A 28-point loss on national TV. It looked bad. But suddenly he put Washington and Gafford in the right places. He's become a better coach. And, you know, and as much as Mazzulla has his quirks, he's a very good coach himself. And I think 10 days to prepare, 10 days to hear from Sam Cassell and Charles Lee and even Jeff Van Gundy to say, okay, how do we contain this guy? We cannot stop Luka. How do we contain him? How do we make it hard on him? I think they'll be prepared. I think if Mazzulla doesn't break even or win this coaching matchup, it's a disappointment.
How are you and Joe?
I was just going to ask that.
Me and Joe are great. Like, we go at each other, or I ask the tough questions. I think he reads everything, and he's been told not to, but he still does. He's defensive, which I understand. He's 35 years old. He's a young coach still trying to make his reputation, so we're fine. This is unusual. I don't like being part of the story, but I'm not going to stop asking tough questions. I feel like the Celtic fans deserve why they lost or getting the reasoning why this is going on. I don't have green pom-poms. I'm not, as you say, Felger, green teamer. And it's not because I'm born and raised in Inglewood and grew up a Lakers fan. It's just
it helps.
Journalistically, I was taught you don't root for the team you cover. You know, you might like the guys, you might get close to them. I think it's a better atmosphere when they win. But you guys covered sports before. Some of the best stories are when they lose. I mean, that Chicken and Beer Red Sox team was that's a fascinating team.
I loved every minute of it, Gary.
As you know, we're big fans of your work, and we're big fans of you at press conferences, because I feel like you do cover it the way it used to be when Mazz and I were on the beat, where you weren't there to support and prop up the team, which I feel like a lot of beat writing has become. I feel like a lot of beat writers feel it's their job to defend the team against critics or commentators like us. And it used to be that the guys that covered the team were there to challenge the team, question the team. And when I covered those teams, because me being me especially, but it was adversarial. I was not friends with the guys. They didn't like me. And it was, I don't know, that's just in my mind how it was supposed to be done. And I feel like you're one of the few guys who still approaches it that way. Not that you're the a-hole I was, but at least it's with an edge, and you're challenging the team, and it's valuable. Gary, I think it's fair. There's not enough like you. So I just,
I appreciate that.
I mean,
I think that, I just think you can't be. I think now some of the younger reporters are afraid of coaches. They're afraid to get chewed out. They're afraid Cora is going to chew them out. They're
afraid to be the bad guy.
Yeah, they're afraid that on the network that's going to point and they're going to get roasted. They're afraid to get Popovich, right? And I just think you cannot be afraid. You cannot be afraid
of online blowback.
Yeah, you cannot be afraid of the coach. Now, if you have your information wrong or and the coach calls you out, yeah, that might be reason to kind of reflect and figure out how you're asking questions. But to challenge the coach, to challenge his philosophy, to challenge why this happened, why did this happen again, if it's the same thing keeps happening, I don't think that's bad. I think that's what you're supposed to do.
How are you with Celtics fans? Do you hear from them?
Yeah. A lot.
And they don't respect your work as we do.
No, they think I hate the team. And I don't get it. I've never said I hate the team. I've never said break the team up. I've never fired Mazzulla. I've never written Jalen wants out. I've never written things that would indicate I hate the team. I don't hate the team. It's just the team I cover. I like the team in terms of the guys, a good organization. My friends who grew up with me and cannot believe I like Boston. They cannot believe that. And it's seeing the whole other side, because growing up a Laker fan, you're just used to that Showtime, and then you come here and you're used to the old 80s grainy tapes of the Garden and just, screwing, putting over the Lakers team bus and turn off the hot water in the showers and the stuff that Red used to do to terrorize the opposing team. And then you come here and it's a first-class organization and you're like, wow, and I see how the other side lives. It's interesting. I appreciate that. There's no other city to work covering pro sports like Boston. I mean, it's just so much. There's no other city that talks hockey outside of Canada as much as Boston. I remember first got like, wow, they're really talking Bruins. Like they're talking like the second line of like, where in the hell other city in America, not Edmonton or Calgary, does this happen? Like, so I appreciate that. It's a great place to work, but the fans think I hate the team.
So correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of the clashes you've had with Missoula, some of them at least, have been about the 3-point shooting and the numbers.
Shooting too many threes.
Okay, so I do have a question as it pertains to this series, and that is, do you have any concerns? Because it feels to me like Dallas's defense is better in the paint than it is on the perimeter. And do you have any concerns that the Celtics could shoot themselves into trouble in this series?
Yeah, they can shoot themselves into trouble or out of trouble. They could just light it up, hit 25 threes in a game, or they can settle for threes. Like, it's never you hate 3-pointers. I'm Bill Fitch, from 19. You know what I'm saying? I hate the threes. Go in there and pound the paint and let Porzingis work. No, that's not it. Like, they should take a good amount of threes, just not 60. The game that we went, the game that Mazzola and I went at it was the Warriors lost. He took 58.
Oh, geez.
And they missed 41. It's like, Joe, that's kind of overboard.
Do something different.
Yeah, like 58. You took, to me, if you hit them and you take them within the rhythm of the offense, but when you're forcing them or you're taking them early in shot clocks or Tatum's trying to get himself pulling up, it's just sometimes they get frivolous with the threes. That's what I have an issue with. It's not that I hate the 3-point shot. I want to get that out there. I'm all for the three. Let's go three.
All right. Final question. Key to the series. Key to the series.
Making Luka work on both sides of the ball, getting him frustrated, and honestly taking the game one, making a statement here. Don't fall behind in this series. You don't want to go to Dallas, even tied at one. Just punch in the mouth first. Dallas was a 50-win team. They're the 5th seed. I'm not saying they're a quality opponent, but you faced the 8th seed, the 4th seed, the 6th seed, and the 5th seed. I mean, you should be better than all those teams. Like, the Celtics should be considerably better than the Mavericks. They won by 28 with the same roster on March 1st. Like, there's a way to beat them. Don't make it bigger than it is, and don't make it simple and make the simple play and get the best out of their guys. And they're going to need that.
Okay, Gary, thanks so much for coming by. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Gary.
All right,
Gary, appreciate your work.